From downtown Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
Radar starting to pop with thunderstorms all around us. The question is, how many of these are going to turn severe?
Also terror in Flint. A chilling timeline leading up to yesterday's airport attack emerges. We're now hearing from some of the heroes who helped get the suspect into custody.
The Local 4 defenders are on the ground in Flint tonight getting answers, and there are multiple angles to this story that continue to evolve.
So let's take you back to Flint. Defender Karen Drew is at Bishop Airport tonight. And Karen, you've been there today talking with a lot of people and we've learning a lot more about how this whole thing yesterday came together.
This has been a very complicated case, Devin and Kimberly. We've been talking to sources here in Flint as well as Detroit. It's expanding throughout the state exactly what happened here. So good evening, everyone from Flint Bishop Airport, where you can see things are getting back to normal. Flights are taking off. The airport is open, but with stepped up security since yesterday's attack on Airport Police Lieutenant Jeff Neville. So let's get you caught up with the very latest on these developments. We have learned the alleged attacker, Amor Fatoui, tried to get a gun at the Gibraltar Trade Center in Mount Clemens, and this happened just days before the attack. He was denied because he's not a United States citizen. However, the FBI now confirms that the knife the accused attacker used was indeed purchased on U.S. soil. Meantime, Lieutenant Neville remains in the hospital where he is in stable condition at this hour, and he is said to be improving. I talked with the airport director and said Lieutenant Neville's spirits are very good considering. Well, I want to get to Rod Maloney. He has been live here in Flint all along with me today. And Rod, the shoe shiner who stepped in along with another officer to get the attacker to the ground is speaking out, and it is remarkable what some, quote, strangers could do in terms of saving the life of Lieutenant Neville.
Right. Everybody knows everybody here, and that's the good thing, and that's how this ended up ending as well as it has. Now, I'm going to show you exactly what was going on here. This is the men's room where Fatoui allegedly came out of to attack the officer. The shoe shine booth is right here. Joe Garza and Lieutenant Neville are speaking right about here. This is where the attack happened. They put in a new piece of carpet because Lieutenant Neville was bleeding out and dying right here. The attack happened just outside the shoeshine booth where shoeshine guy Joe Garza was talking to Lieutenant Jeff Neville.
Big old knife, I mean, he had some bad intentions.
Joe and Jeff are good friends, and Joe wasn't going to let anything like this stand.
It was kind of emotional for me because I've known him for a long time, you know, and kind of hard to see somebody you like down like that.
Just steps away in a conference room were Fire Lieutenant Dan Owen and Airport Police Chief Christopher Williams. They sprang into action. Lieutenant Owen first on the pile.
Still trying to get control of the knife, and I assisted Chief Miller. Myself controlled the gentleman's hands, controlled the knife, set the knife behind us in a safe area. The other police officer responded to my radio call.
It was the chief who snapped the cuffs on Fatoui.
I handcuffed him, and then that's when I realized that there was a lot of blood in this incident. I didn't know where the blood was coming from. I just knew I had blood all over my arms, and I realized Lieutenant Neville had been stabbed.
But I was not expecting this other guy to come back behind him and try to butcher him.
Now, the chief says that he took the attacker, Fatoui, along with Lieutenant Dan to the lockup here where they waited for the FBI. But both the lieutenant and the chief were able to go ahead and visit Lieutenant Neville last night. In fact, the chief's going out to see him yet again today. We're going to hear more at 6 o'clock about their camaraderie, the reaction in the hospital room to all of this. So, Karen, back to you.
All right, we'll be checking back with you a little bit later, Rod. Now we want to go a little bit more specific on this timeline for Fatoui. We do know that he came into the United States on June 16th. He came into Michigan on June 18th. What happened for those next 4 days? And then he made the decision to come here to Bishop International Airport and walk through those doors. It was 8:52 in the morning when Fatoui entered the first level of Bishop International Airport, carrying a red duffel and dark satchel. At 9:10, Fatoui went up this escalator to the second level of the airport. At the top, he turned left to go to a restaurant. He sat for a while. At 9:37, he left the restaurant carrying both bags and entered this second-floor men's room. At 9:38, without either bag, he left the restroom, and then a few feet away, he attacked the airport officer in the neck with a knife. This is exactly where the bloody attack occurred. The blood-stained carpet has been replaced. Fatui was quickly subdued and apprehended. We have learned Fatui had tried to purchase a gun within the last 5 days in the Flint area, but was denied one because he's not from the United States. 2:30 yesterday, Fatui made his first court appearance in federal court in Flint. The defenders were able to obtain the audio as no cameras are allowed in court.
He was born in Tunisia. He has citizenship from Tunisia and Canadian citizenship as well. He said he's been in Canada for 10 years. He's married and has 3 children. He said he was working off and on as a truck driver. Last worked about 2 weeks ago.
From the courthouse, the 49-year-old was brought to the Midland County Jail, where he is held in the maximum security portion of the jail. When they open the cell, he'll have 3 deputies assigned to him because he has made threats that he wants to harm more law enforcement officers. And we've been talking with some inside sources, and they say in Fatui's mind, they believe this would have been, in a sense, a failed attempt because obviously in an attempt like this, they like to be a martyr. And in his mind, they thought he would most likely would have wanted to have died in this situation, but that is not the case. He has a court appearance on June 28th at 2:30. Of course, we'll be there for that. Meantime, the coverage of this story is just getting started. Ahead at 6, we asked the important question, why did this happen in Flint? We've been talking with former FBI inside sources, and they're going to give us their perspective on that, and also how a previous incident here at the airport actually helped lead to a very quick response yesterday. Out of all days, why was that so important that so many people were here? We'll take a closer look at that. And earlier this afternoon, U.S. Representative Dan Kildee from Flint did address this tragedy on the House floor, and we have posted the full video of his comments. You can find the link to that page on the homepage of clickondetroit.com. Meantime, the defenders here in Flint and Detroit are working this story. We are getting new information actually on every single newscast, so we'll be updating this throughout the next 90 minutes, and we will be back live with any new information. We're still working on exactly where that gun was purchased in terms of how many times he attempted to buy the gun and what was he doing during those 4 days here in Michigan. We're working on that. We'll get right back to you. Until then, we are live in Flint. Karen Drew, Local 4 Defenders.
All right, Karen. Good questions all.
Indeed. Okay, now to an update on some breaking news we first brought you at 4 o'clock. A 7-year-old boy who went missing from Inglenook Park in Southfield has been found safe. Right now, there's no word on where the boy was found, but Southfield police have confirmed he is safe. So a happy ending to report there.
It is. Let's get a quick check of the weather now. The threat of storms popping up throughout tonight and on into tomorrow.
Let's get over to Ben. Is there anything popping on radar right now, Ben?
Just the hints, the very beginnings of some showers, and this is down in our south zone here towards Adrian. You can see a few raindrops starting to fall. Not very intense right now, but you don't have to go far. Down here in northern parts of Indiana, you can see a bunch more of these cells starting to pop. Now crossing I-80 into southern Michigan. Couple lightning strikes out there, but so far few and far between as far as those go. We will be seeing these thunderstorms move into some pretty warm and unstable air. 89 in Mount Clemens right now, 87 at Metro Airport. You felt the humidity that's out there today, so that will be fueling some of these storms. We have 2 rounds that we're looking at, both tonight and then again tomorrow morning. We'll time that out and track them coming up in a few minutes. Devin?
Ben, well, today, after a lot of secrecy, Republican Senate leaders revealed their health care plan, and it's already coming under fire, even from members of their own party. Blaine Alexander in Washington with more on what's in the plan and whether it has a chance to pass next week. Blaine?
Well, Devin, this is it. All 142 pages of the bill, much of it changing parts of Obamacare, not a full repeal. And it turns out that could be enough to sink this bill. The bitter back and forth over health care taking center stage on the Senate floor.
Let us right now, Democrats and Republicans, sit down and try to come up with a bipartisan bill.
If I thought that was a sincere offer, I would take it in a minute, in a New York minute. But it's not.
Senate will be in order.
And the fight spilling into the halls of Congress.
I worked all my life with my disability, but I'm not rich enough to keep my daughter alive without Medicaid.
Senate Republicans unveiling their secretly written health care plan, but with 4 GOP senators saying they oppose the bill, it may already be doomed.
We're afraid that when we read the bill, that it actually looks like a reiteration or a keeping of Obamacare.
The bill keeps the structure of Obamacare, not a full repeal. The changes gradually deepening cuts to Medicaid and repeals for individual and employer mandates. What does it keep? Coverage for pre-existing conditions. States cannot opt out, and kids can remain on their parents' insurance until age 26. The plan would also give tax credits based on income.
The Medicaid expansion, gone. Ripped up and flushed down the toilet.
Republican leaders and the president say this is just a draft with plenty of time for changes.
Little negotiation, but it's going to be very good.
But the clock is ticking. Republican leaders want this passed before July 4th. And what is still unknown is exactly how much this bill would cost and how many people would be insured. Those numbers set to come out early next week. In Washington, Blaine Alexander, Local 4.
Hey, Blaine.
There's still much more ahead here at 5. Nick?
In Utica, there's concern about what is living in this woods. It's a coyote. There's some pretty good pictures of it. There's also some pretty good concern about kids and animals that could be affected by this. What the Utica Police Department says they have to do about this.
Making himself at home, isn't he? Right. Also, the city of Detroit making a controversial $5 million payout. New here at 5, what it's for and why the mayor says a simple billing mix-up caused it. Sean?
Road crews working out in this heat. Now, some of those crews in Detroit coming under attack from this guy, armed with a paintball gun, and he put it on Facebook Live for anyone to see, including Detroit police. I'll show you the video and tell him why police arrested him.
There's new at 6.
This is no ordinary home security camera. It is hidden inside something almost every home has. It's become a hot item in the local neighborhood where this was recorded.
Plus, first they ran, then they hid. A police chase that started on 8 Mile ends with one of these men trying to climb away from the law.
Right now, watch this.
This video posted to Facebook, a man firing a paintball gun at road workers. All of it going on with a young child, by the way, in the back seat. That attack happened in the area of I-75 and Outer Drive.
And as it happened, they were posting it all to Facebook Live. Sean Lay is live tonight. Sean, police saw this video too, right?
They certainly did just a couple of days ago. Look, here's the deal. We all know Facebook Live, very popular, and anyone can see it when you have it up. And in this case, the police can see it as well.
Watch this.
It's absolutely shocking video, and the man starring in it wants as many people as possible to see it. He's 22, and he's firing a paintball gun at road workers on Outer Drive in Detroit. The man's so pleased with his behavior, he's broadcasting it on Facebook Live for anyone to see, including Detroit police. Watch again, and pay attention to who is with the man. A little girl, a baby, riding in the back seat.
Hey, this stupid guys.
Both men in the car brag about the paintball shooting and the driver's marijuana.
Rolling a fat wood too.
Behind the wheel, again, with that baby in the back.
I know y'all just seen that.
In the Facebook Live video, the men say they are on Outer Drive and they have a warning for road crews.
All construction workers, you getting busted today if you take it too long to
So y'all fix Outer Drive, I'm spraying oil. Right.
We showed the video to a crew working in the heat, resurfacing a road, and they are not amused.
It's not good at all. It's very, dangerous for us as well.
Detroit Police Cyber Crimes Division looked at this video. They identified that paintball shooter, found that he had outstanding warrants, and he was arrested.
Hey, this stupid guy!
All from his own Facebook Live that he broadcast for anyone to see.
Unbelievable. Sean, so why wasn't he arrested for firing that paintball gun in the first place?
Yeah, not facing charges for that at all. Here's why. Detroit police telling me that cyber crimes unit looked at the video, but they also discovered that the guys being fired at, the road crew, they never called 911. They didn't make a complaint or a call from help. So therefore, police say they don't have a victim in this case, but they were able to quickly identify the guy with the paintball gun, saw that he had open warrants for traffic, Kimberly, and they went and arrested him for that.
Just sickening to think that they thought that was a good idea. Just unbelievable. Okay, Sean, thank you.
All right, Ben's turn now. We start to make the turn and think about the weekend ahead.
Yeah, we start thinking about the weekend on Monday. So
around here.
Weekend's going to look and feel a whole lot different than today. This is the outlier. Near 90 degrees and thunderstorm chances. But if we do see those storms tonight, the biggest impacts I think they're going to have are from the intense downpours. There's a lot of moisture out there in the atmosphere. Some of it responsible from Tropical Storm Cindy, which we'll talk about in a minute. Still a possibility that some of these wind gusts could at least approach severe limits. I don't think a lot of us are going to see that, but it's not out of the question either. Obviously going to be some lightning with these storms. That's a given. And so far we've been pretty dry, but we showed you at the top of the show, everything's just starting to fire down here along the state line, and that's going to start intensifying and working its way up into southeast Michigan. But the only watch that's out in the 48 right now is down here in the Gulf Coast, and this is with Tropical Storm Cindy. That's the core of it, which is on shore. And even though that's a tornado watch, the biggest problem they've got is from the water, and we'll take a closer look at that on Local 4 News at 5:30. Raindrops falling out here in Taylor. This was this morning. I had to look twice. I thought that that RV was a little crooked, but no, those are raindrops. We will be seeing showers and thunderstorms not only this evening, but we'll get a little bit of a break, and then another round starts to come in on the really on the heels of a cold front, which is working its way in the morning. So just about 5-6 a.m. we'll see those come through. That morning round is going to be weakening, so it does not look like these will be severe, but still could slow us down for the commute and will dry out. Cold front tries to sweep everything out, but it may just be slow enough to fire off some showers around the noon hour. After that, we're dry, but we go into chances of showers over the weekend. First Saturday in the afternoon, and then again as we get on Sunday. Most of the weekend does look dry, but it's going to be a lot cooler than some of these numbers that we picked up today. Humidity is still going to be out there tonight, and so that's why we're only dropping to 72. And again, a few of the thunderstorms in the evening, some of those could be strong, and then we get that round 2 closer to daybreak tomorrow morning. Highs tomorrow are going to be a lot different, and they're going to come at an odd time. This is probably going to be about 6, maybe 7 p.m. as the clouds clear behind that front. We'll be right around the low 80s for highs tomorrow, and pretty much right around 80 degrees in our south zone as well. Not a whole lot of difference in temperatures across our 4 zones. Generally upper 70s to around 80 degrees, maybe a little bit cooler towards Lake Erie tomorrow afternoon. Otherwise 70s for highs Saturday and Sunday, but look at that high for fireworks on Monday, 71, and that's going to be coming in the middle of the afternoon. So by the time we're all out at the riverfront watching those fireworks, it's going to be in the 60s, and there's still a chance we could be seeing some showers. So we'll have to watch that very carefully next week.
Yeah, a little cool by the time the fireworks start.
It's been a while since we've seen that.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of fireworks, 4th of July fireworks may be fun, but they can cause serious stress to your pets. Ahead here at 5, how a local vet may have found a solution.
But first, it's been one of the most controversial parts of Mayor Duggan's administration, and now it's costing the city $5 million. We'll explain next. The Detroit Land Bank has agreed to a $5 million settlement in connection with the city's demolition program.
But Mayor Mike Duggan says this won't affect the program's progress.
The demolition program in Detroit is moving forward full speed, and we have the funding to take down between 7,000 and 8,000 additional houses by the end of 2018.
$5 million will be paid to the Michigan State Housing Development Authority, who accused the land bank of improperly submitting repayment orders. As part of the settlement, the state will give $5 million back to the city. That money will be used to finish demolitions. We've learned that a fatal crash this morning is what brought the commute on I-75 to a standstill.
Yeah, police say a 33-year-old Garden City man was driving his motorcycle on southbound 75 around 3 o'clock this morning, lost control and flew off his bike. As he was lying in the middle lanes, he was hit a number of times by other cars. The driver who hit the man did stop, the drivers rather did stop. They've been cooperating with police, and an investigation is underway. On Detroit's east side, an investigation is also underway after 2 vacant homes caught fire early this morning. Happened on Belvedere and East Canfield. Firefighters were able to put out the flames a little after 3 a.m., but they're not exactly certain what started the fire yet.
New at 5:30.
In this field right off of Utica Road in the city of Utica, there appears to be a coyote living back here, which, as you can imagine, is freaking people out.
We can't go over there. The kids can't play in a parking lot.
Understandable with small kids and small animals, but the other problem is that people are feeding this thing.
Cindy's wrath. A violent tropical storm slams the Louisiana coast, and it isn't high winds causing the extensive damage.
I'm Karen Drew, live in Flint at Bishop's International Airport. We're working on new angles to the latest in the terrorist attack here. Coming up at 6, we will be talking with the rescuers who made a difference in Lieutenant Neville's life, and also inside the mind of an alleged terrorist. What are they thinking? We go exclusively with former FBI agents. Special reports coming your way.
It's dinner time.
I'm Local 4 Defender Karen Drew as we continue to bring you live coverage from inside Bishop International Airport here in Flint. Operations are back to normal here following yesterday's stabbing attack, but with increased security. Now to the latest on the investigation. We have been working this story all day long. Today we have learned Amor Fatui, the Canadian citizen accused of stabbing Lieutenant Jeff Neville, tried to buy a gun before the attack but was denied one since he was not a U.S. citizen. He tried to buy the gun at the Gibraltar Trade Center in Mount Clemens. This afternoon, the FBI also revealing they believe the 50-year-old entered the United States legally in New York and has been in Michigan since June 18th. The FBI believes he acted alone. Make sure to stay with Local 4 ahead at 6. How a previous incident here at the airport actually helped in the response yesterday. Plus, we tried to find out why this attack happened here in Flint. We'll be talking with the experts and some of our sources. That's all coming up in about 30 minutes. Meantime, we are live here in Flint. I'm Karen Drew, Local 4 Defenders.
Right, Karen, and our other top story at 5:30, a dangerous nuisance moves into a Macomb County neighborhood. Police and neighbors don't know quite what to do about it.
The city of Utica celebrating its 200th birthday with a festival this weekend, but that's not the talk of the town right now.
No, this is a coyote seemingly living in woods that are right next to homes, a church, even a school. Nick Monticelli shows us why there's not much that can be done about it right now.
This field right here appears to be a sunbathing spot for this coyote right off of Utica Road across the street from St. Lawrence Church, but there are homes in this area, one right next door with small children and small animals, and they are afraid of what could happen.
He's come past this middle pole right here, and so he's come between there and this pole here to my property.
Deanna Kilpatrick has no problem with animals. In fact, she has 3 dogs of her own, which in this case becomes more of the problem. She's afraid her dogs, her kids, or the kids in her daycare could be attacked.
We can't go over there. The kids can't play in the parking lot. Can't take walks. Our dogs, you know, I mean, we can't do anything.
And when they say this coyote is out all the time, they mean it. We waited for less than an hour before it came out and then just laid down. The concern obviously is that it might attack. But the other problem is the coyote has become an attraction. Neighbor Charlene Matthews says she watches people over there all day long.
The lady was calling it over to her van trying to feed it.
And when that doesn't work, some even leave the food behind. That's what has the Utica Police Department frustrated, some driving through the field to get a closer look, even stopping right in the middle of Utica Road.
Saw it 3 times this morning, about a half hour before you got here. They would stop right in the middle of the road.
As for approaching the coyote, yeah, not smart.
Not a good idea. Keep in mind, she's a wild animal. And like any wild animal, they're unpredictable.
But because the coyote hasn't hurt anyone and doesn't appear hurt itself, the DNR has told both the Utica Police Chief and residents there's nothing they can do.
So basically I have to wait till one of my dogs or one of the kids is attacked for you guys to do anything, and they basically said, yeah, we can't do anything about it.
In Utica, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
Nick also points out the Utica Police Department has extra patrols in that area right now. They're warning residents, especially those walking nearby, about that coyote. They're hoping the coyote will eventually leave and leave for good.
That is some kind of video.
Isn't it, though? It's kind of frightening looking
close
at
up. The man charged in connection with the shooting of an off-duty Detroit police officer is headed to trial.
Back on June 4th, police say 19-year-old Kevon Robinson tried to rob a liquor store and then stole the officer's gun and the officer's cell phone. During today's hearing, police reviewed surveillance tape from that shooting. Robinson is due back in court next week.
All right, Ben has his hands full today, of course, keeping an eye on potential storms here first.
That's right, and he's also been tracking what's been going on down south with Tropical Storm Cindy that we've been talking about.
Yes, and a little bit of good news. Cindy has been downgraded to a tropical depression, so that storm is weakening, but it came ashore early this morning in Louisiana, now making its way inland towards Arkansas and Tennessee, and in some areas more than a foot of flooding has forced evacuations. In Alabama, a 10-year-old boy was killed after getting hit with debris as he walked along the beach with his family. Now, while the storm is weakening, it's not over yet.
Rivers and our lakes are rising. So wherever there's water, our citizens need to be careful and cautious.
Now, residents down there are still looking for the possibility of even more heavy rain. Tornadoes not out of the question. And of course, the flooding threat is still with them, even as Cindy is on its last legs. And usually with these early season tropical storms, we say, well, there's, you know, the rain is a benefit because a lot of folks may be under a drought situation. Sure. That's not the case down there. They've had plenty of rain.
Too much.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Ben.
If you plan to travel for the 4th of July this year, you'll have a lot of company. AAA is predicting a record 44.2 million Americans are going to be traveling the July 4th weekend. It's a week away, by the way. Most will travel at least 50 miles from home. Week and a half away. 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away, right?
No, like a week
2
and
weeks.
a half.
About 2 weeks. A vast majority by car with because it's on a Wednesday this year, with relatively low gas prices and the holiday falling on a Is it Tuesday?
It's a Tuesday.
Oh, it's a Tuesday. There we go.
July
It's a Tuesday. Right. Right. That's what I meant.
Even I knew that.
I'm a mess.
Bring it together here, Devin.
It means a 4-day
Yes.
weekend for a lot of folks. Let's put it that way. Holiday travel by plane expected to rise for the 8th year in a row. I completely made a mess of that.
That's okay. We're moving on.
You knew what I meant. Yeah.
I knew exactly what you meant. As education budgets, continue to shrink, as we've talked about, it's often music and art classes that are the first to go. And that's what's happened here in Detroit.
So who picks up what the Detroit schools have dropped off? In this week's Heart of Detroit, Mitch Albom shows us how a century-old Detroit landmark is stepping up to help.
When I go round in circles.
Pewabic Pottery's 100-year history in Detroit is a testament to their mission of enriching the human spirit through clay. And now they have designed an education program that fills the void of art classes in their community's schools.
We've designed an entire curriculum, kindergarten through high school, essentially. And our goal is to really be working in all of the schools in our neighborhood and creating pathways where the kids can see, art and design as a viable career option.
It's just like any other art class that you'd find anywhere else, and I think that's what we wanted, is for the kids to not know the difference.
Today they are working with schools like Hutchinson Elementary Middle School in Indian Village. Pewabic provides the teacher and the students an opportunity to explore the arts.
Hutchinson Elementary, where we are, it has an art room and had a kiln room and had a kiln, but it was totally not being used. And
what's sadder than an unused kiln?
That's what we
really.
Exactly.
Art teaches you a lot more than just how to hold a paintbrush and how to make a pot. It teaches you about self-expression, obviously creativity.
What are you finding that this does for kids in these communities?
As soon as we come in, they're so excited for the opportunity, and this look on their face, you can just tell that they're just totally into it.
That ability to create just builds self-confidence. It gives kids a sense that they can do more. There's so many opportunities in Detroit right now in art and design. It's such a big part of the renaissance of the city, and we want to make sure that the neighborhoods aren't left out.
Molding and shaping today's youth, Pewabic Pottery is bringing art back to our schools right here in the heart of Detroit.
That's great, Mitch. Pewabic, as you know, I'm
all
in.
You're all in.
It is one of the great treasures in the city of Detroit.
Sure is.
So great. They had seconds to get to safety.
Coming up new tonight, a man on a motorcycle pulls a dangerous prank with cameras rolling.
Cracks of thunder, fireworks exploding overhead.
These sounds can be sheer terror for our pets.
It was terrible to see it in a thunderstorm or fireworks.
The safe new option to ease your stress and theirs, next.
A typical